Mark. I'm Dave.
And I'm Sean, without my mug.
He's the other guy. And we are Barstools and Bandtalk, and do we ever got a treat for you tonight? We seem to be picking on the local media lately, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, well, not really picking on them. It's they're not doing anything. So,
Picking them up.
Yeah. Well, we'll give credit where credit's due. Darren Harvey, Tom Bedell, Sheldon McLeod. We have a new friend here tonight. Actually, she's alumni at Prince Andrew High School with Dave and I. She's really carved. Yep. She's carved out a great niche in the afternoon time slot. And if you listen to Nicole, and it's Nicolle Bellefontaine from 92.9 Jack FM, she's absolutely hilarious. She's great at what she does. We just had a little piece with her here, and this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to bring her on. So Jack FM is one of my favorite stations. Actually, I enjoy that. They just literally will play anything, which is pretty cool. And let's see if Nicole will say anything. That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. There she is.
Greetings, gentlemen.
How are you?
My goodness, what a lovely
Great.
lady you are. Look. So Nicole, we were just talking about Jack FM before we got started, and I said, well, Jack FM is really one of my favorite stations because they literally will play anything. And I'm really hoping that Nicole will just say anything. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Depends on whether or not my Ritalin is kicked in or has left my system.
Fair enough. So are you working from home now, or are you back in the studio with everything that's going on?
Actually, I have never not been in the studio. So Caroline was operating, at the height of it when everything was, most people were working at home in the beginning. Caroline was here up in the board, and Griff was broadcasting from home. And then in the afternoon, I come in and I've been doing my show. And I've been here every day. I haven't, other than vacation time, I've not missed a single day. I am equipped, however, to broadcast from home. In fact, not only do I have the ability to do it with my laptop, but I can actually do it right here on my phone.
Ooh,
that's
It's
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome.
She's so fancy.
Yeah, right.
So the other thing that we were just talking about, you have 3 alumni from Prince Andrew High School.
Mm-hmm.
Go Panthers.
Well, and
Oh my
truth be told that everybody knows. So we Nicole graduated the year after us. So Dave and I were class of 2006, and Nicole was class of 2007.
Yes.
So
Oh, I like your recollection.
Yeah.
That's great.
We never lie. We may embellish from time to time, but we never lie. So
Yeah,
since high school, has this been your gig? Have you been on the radio since high school? What have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I left high school, and then I took a year and worked in retail, and that cemented for me that I had to get some kind of a trade. So it was either go to architectural drafting at NSCC Akerley or take radio and television. So I took radio and television. At the time, the course was in Kentville at the King's Tech campus. Now, in the years since, it's moved to Ivany down on the waterfront, which is an amazing campus. Years later, I would end up teaching writing commercials for radio there for all told 6 years. So it's a great place to teach as well as get an education. But anyway, I took 2 years. It's a 2-year program. And then I started working within a month, honking country on AVR. I still to this day I have a really deep love for like Loretta Lynn, Mel Tillis, Johnny Cash. I mean, come on, all that stuff. But new country, I don't understand it. I don't know what I'm listening to, but the old country, I love that stuff. And then within a short period of time, there was a position that came open in the writing department, which is funny because never say what you don't want to do, because sometimes life says you're going to do it. And I said there's 2 things I didn't want to do when I left college. And that was auto cue, which back in the day you had to type in all of the for people who were on TV so they could be reading and look like they're, that's why they never look down. They're like, they're reading what's on the camera, right? It's a little reflective lens, which most people don't know about. Anyway, it was either that or write commercials. And I ended up writing commercials, and I did it for 9 years.
Wow.
And then I started on air at C100 doing swing. And then I did that I was there for 15 years, took a year off because there was a layoff and rite of passage in broadcasting. And then I've been here at Jack for the last 6 years.
So you're fortunate because we've talked to a few other people in radio, and it seems like it's almost like the banking industry in that they have to go all over the country to find a gig. So you've been fortunate you've been able to stay in your own backyard.
Oh, yes. I mean, I could have, but I just managed to stay employed, right? Like I've always been employed, you know, really other than that 1 year. And even, and what's funny is that even though they came to me because they knew I wasn't really happy after all those years at C100 and I wasn't really moving up. So I thought, this isn't for me, because I believe somewhere along the line, a consultant said, and you get kind of told that you're not going to move around. You know what I mean? You know, you're not going to move around. So I was ready for a change. And within a month, I was actually rehired to do fill-in in the creative department. So I was really only out of the radio industry technically for 30 days for my entire career. And I started in 1992. Wow. So I've had a very good run. I've worked with an astonishing number of people. Yeah.
But
yeah,
even
like
the ownership has changed so much. So I mean, like, you know, and I do a little bit with radio in terms of at my workplace is, you know, who's going to be our salesperson, you know what I mean, but who we're selling our ads to, I guess, or selling their ads to us. So I get to know a lot of these folks over the years, but the names keep changing. You had Newcap, you have Stingray, you have, you know, Metro Radio Group. It's like, how many bosses have you had?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, for a while there, because I was with what you referenced, Metro Radio Group. So it was Metro Radio Group, and then it was something else. I can't remember right now. And that's because they had 5 radio stations with 3 owners, and the CRTC does not allow you to have more than 2 FMs in a market. So they had to do that. But then one of the standalone of those 5 sold 49% to one and 51% to the other. And that did not go over well with the CRTC and with the competition in the market. But during that period of time, it was harvest time for a number of years, and we were doing some pretty amazing stuff and offering clients really great flexible sales packages, which is important, right? I mean, it's a business. Yep. But there was a period of time where it was just like, so what's our health plan this month? Like, it was just holy crap. It never ended. I was like,
do you get a feeling, am I covered or not? Yeah.
Am I covered? What is my pension again? What's happening? Is it defined? I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Wow. So I've taken a little bit. I was a big talk radio guy, or listen to talk radio, but Jack's usually the one that I go to afterwards. And I spend a lot of time on my vehicle for work, so I get to hear your show a lot.
Oh,
and one of the things, 100%. And one of the things I thought when we were going to talk tonight, which is kind of holding up, your personality on the radio is just you being you. You know, you hear some radio people and they have one voice when they're off and they have another voice when they go on. Yeah. I'm getting you're the same person, whether you're behind the mic or you're on the show.
I think sometimes what you're referring to is the testicle effect. I don't have testicles, so it doesn't. I'm not going to throw my voice or talk differently. You know what? Like, I don't think you can find your footing as a performer, regardless of what the realm is, unless you are authentic. Being authentic is the only thing that you don't have to try to maintain. I have ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed till I was 36. So I always joke I have 2 lives, the one before, the one after. And it's funny because there's a lot of people that I've worked with in radio. Can I tell you? They could do with some medication. people always go, well, you know, it affects your edge. It's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't affect my edge. I'm still whatever this hot mess is. But I'm authentic. I believe your listener, if your listener is going to take the time to listen to you, you better bring your true self, and you better be likable, and you better do your part to make their day better. It is a privilege if somebody spends 30 seconds listening to my show. Because it's not about me, it's about really them. But the way you do that is you know, previously in other positions that I've held, it was always about, you know, talking about stars and entertainers, and don't give too much of you and your opinion. And I found my home here because here, like, whatever I want, like, I have total control over my show. I don't talk about celebrities unless I feel it's relevant. I don't care. And if it's a super popular celebrity, I'm definitely not going to talk about them. Mm-hmm. I like to think I'm the sherbet.
Yep.
Right? You want something different? You come here. I can't always guarantee it's going to be top brow, I can't always guarantee it's going to make a lot of sense sometimes, but it's not going to ever be about trying to make myself look good. In fact, it's usually the opposite. It's about trying to brighten your day. And let me tell you, if I can do that, perfect.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Well, I don't know if it's awesome, but I don't see any other way to run it.
Well, this is, I mean, like, we've heard that a number of times. If you're interested, then it'll be interesting. If you're engageable, it'll be engaged, you know. But to your point, if you're authentic, then people are going to pick up on it, you know. And this is who Sean and I are. We don't pretend to be anything else than we are. I'm an asshole. Off screen, on screen, I am what I am, you know. But it's at the end of the day, like I said, I hear your talking voice here, like Sean's pointing out, you know, on the radio. It's the same, and your personality comes across the same way, and that's really cool.
Well, thank you.
Mission accomplished.
That's good. That's all I ever wanted. You know, I mean, we all, let's face it, anybody who decides to put part of themselves out, whether it's musically or any kind of creative way, even though this probably doesn't seem creative, there's a lot more to it than people realize. It's actually even harder when you are trying to avoid newsies type stuff and kind of do an end run. I've been challenged remarkably since Donald Trump's appointment, and then the last year. I feel for anybody who is relatively new in radio, because this is not the year to be trying to find your footing. Like, it's a crash course.
So, I mean, talk about your day, Nicole, because a lot of people probably think that you just roll up and hit the mic and that's it. But to your point, there's a lot more behind it. So just give somebody kind of a snapshot of what your day might look like.
Well, there are people that's how they run. Like, that's how they do their show. It's like they don't feel like they almost have to be kind of like at that knife edge of, I don't know where this is going to go. But after years of discipline and experience, they kind of know how to get out. I actually, when it comes to doing my show, I may not know every single word that's going to come out of my mouth per break. And if you've listened, as you say you do, Sean, you probably figure that out.
100%.
But I always have an out. I know how I'm going to get out, right? But my day usually starts with me actually working from home now, and I do music logs. I help my boss, Earl Mader, and I actually help with the music programming. And I know people go, oh, why they play this song? The reality is that there's an intense amount of research that goes into every single radio station's music lineup, and it is. I know people want to hear more of this, more of that, more of local. And I got to tell you, it is not about us here in the studio about who makes those choices. But that is part of my job, is to work with the music programming that we have, and I help him with that. And I am sometimes responsible for everything you hear on the air, making sure that it's out there and it's ready to go, because it's all done on the computer, right? Can you see that? Right? This is our on-air system, right? Anyway, so I start with music programming, but I'm always thinking about my show. Kind of like, I'm sure if you're writing music, you're always thinking about music, right? Like you might kind of have something that you kind of go, oh, that would be really cool. Like these notes together, and you have to send yourself a note or whatever to make sure you don't forget that. That could be like a really good hook or, chorus or whatever it is. 'Cause I don't know music stuff, but the creative mind is always kind of churning. And that's kind of what I do. My show is, I'll see something on the internet and I'm like, okay, how can I put that into my show? How can I make that a relatable thing to my audience here in Halifax? So that's kind of always on the go. Like I've literally woken up I woke up in the middle of the night. No word of a lie. I woke up, it was like 2:00 in the morning. I had to go pee or something. And I'm walking to the bathroom. And as I'm going to the bathroom, boom, an idea. And so I had to send myself a text to go, okay, and I'm hoping that it made sense in the morning. You know what I mean? And it was really funny because I can't remember what the term is, but it's a term for when you swear. I have to look it up, but it's just like funny expressions for swearing, and it's actually a whole thing. But anyway, but that's the kind of thing. Your mind is always, and some stuff. I have stuff right now. If you could see kind of my periphery, I have so many ideas and whatever. But I'm like, I got to wait till I'm really ready. Do you know what I mean? Before I bring it to my audience, I've got to flesh it out, bone it down, and really try to whatever. So I'm constantly, that's always on the go. And then when I get in here, I'm invariably voicing commercials. I'm doing a lot of voice work now for other radio stations within the Rogers chain across the country. But I also do stuff for, CTV and there's all of that. And then of course I actually go in and organize my show per break. I am like, this is where this is going to go. This is where this is going to go, kind of move the pieces around. And then I roll and I do my thing.
So you don't sleep then, I guess.
I actually do sleep. I do sleep. I do. But if I can't get to, if I wake up, sometimes it's really hard to get back to sleep.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned getting up and peeing. Dave does that a lot too, but we usually don't get anything creative. So good for you to be able to write something down.
We got a whiteboard now, though. I tell you, that whiteboard comes in handy. He's like, oh,
very good.
Yeah. We've this show kind of came about when the first shut down, and there wasn't a lot of music going on, so we just did it for fun. We've been doing a lot of live hits now because again, there's no music really. And we've had to write the whiteboard down. We'll go, okay, here's the 5 things we want to cover tonight. We'll try to bang them off. And it usually ends up with Dave and I arguing about something, but it comes off. So it's, oh, you're laughing, but it's 100% true. You mentioned voiceover work and things like that. One point in time, that was probably a really lucrative career. Is that kind of as well as now? Well,
within my company, I don't get paid any extra, but, but when I do outside projects, it can be. I mean, I haven't really been aggressive about pursuing it. But I have had some pretty good paying gigs, but nothing, whatever. Unfortunately, celebrities, like stars, movie stars, TV stars, they've kind of ruined it for voice work because they get the jobs. Do you know what I mean? Right. I don't know, but whatever. I mean, it's good money. You have to look for it, I guess. And I'm not really pushing for it right now. I've been on so many commercials in this market. Like I say, I've been in Halifax since 1998. So that's a long time to be voicing commercials in this market. So it's not really likely that I'm going to get a lot of freelance work here. But, one of my goals for 2021, I've got a lot, is that I can see if I can pursue getting some more jobs because, I'm not one to brag. I'm usually self-effacing, but I kind of am awesome at voiceover. It is my thing. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not afraid. I'm like, you want me to do this with it? You want me to do that? Like, I love feedback and I like working it. It's like working your instrument. I'm not a singer. Nobody has ever asked me to sing.
Hey, would you sing?
Not in a million years.
We're looking for somebody to do the 10th day of Christmas on our 12 Mugs of Christmas campaign.
Only if I can sing into like a kazoo or something like that.
Well, you know what?
I don't know what it would take.
Here's the thing, Nicole, you got a microphone there. Sing into your microphone, make something up for the 10th day of Christmas, and we'll give you a mug.
Limited edition.
I don't really need the mug that bad. And your viewers don't want me to do this. I'm done.
All right.
Let me ask this question then, Nicole. You've been on a number of stations over the years. So do you find it tough to work in a format of music that you maybe don't enjoy? Like you said, you talk about new countries, not your gig per se. Would you take a job at a new country station?
Sure. It doesn't really matter. I'm not listening. Right? Like people think I'm sitting here jamming out all the time. I'm busy working. Right?
Yeah.
So I will look ahead. Now there are some songs you kind of go, turn it up. But most of the time I'm so busy that I'm not even aware. Like somebody will say, oh, what was that song you played? Like when I was on C100, right? Because we had a lot of newer music. What was the song you played? I'm like, right? And if it wasn't like immediately, I'm like, oh, like, I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Like, because you have to go back. Like I can't, if I kept track of every single song that I played, how crazy do you think I could get? Right? Like you would just go wacky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you bring up stuff that's very interesting because you're talking about maybe a static part of your business. Because in music, for example, I'll go somewhere and I'll play, and that 2 hours on stage is great. The next day is boring. You're sleeping. You might go to the store. You might get up. You might go back to sleep. But it's really, everything is set up for that time, and people probably don't understand. That's a very, maybe not boring if you enjoy it, but it's a part that they just would never think actually happen. It's kind of like Santa Claus. They just think the presents arrive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we're all human beings, right? So when you step up to the mic, you may have found out some super shitty news, or you're going through some stuff. I'm like everybody else, and so I can't bring that into the studio. And if I can't keep it out of the studio, the moment that mic goes on, I'm in a different place, because it's not about me. It's about reassuring them that everything's all right. We're going to get through it. Here's, if I can, a giggle, and be effective. So you get to live in the moment. And I don't know if it's maybe because I have ADHD, but I sometimes find it very hard to live in the moment. You know, your mind's going in every different direction. Yep. And, you know, we have a tendency as human beings to be less likely. And so when you're performing, right, that's probably why performers sometimes struggle when they get off stage. You know, you hear all those stories of really successful artists that you think they've got the world by the tail, and they just free fall. And that's because you go from adulation and all that adrenaline and all that dopamine and serotonin. It's like, it's juicy and great. Real life doesn't compare to that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting quite that reaction, obviously. In fact, I get no reaction. I get no feedback at all, but I can see why it can be very wonderful, and then like a deflated experience after the fact. When I come home, I don't want to talk to anybody. Of course, my mother lives with me, so she likes to talk, but she's been saving her words all day, but I'm like, I just need some time. Yeah.
Sean, I get that. We talk for a living, same thing. Like now we talk for, you know, a gig like this. So sometimes you're just out of words. I get it. I want to ask you another question. Speaking of words, and we want to be respectful for your time too, Nicole. But
Sure.
I know you've had a lot of guests in your shows over the years. I think we kind of touched on that before we went on. Let's talk about the worst guest you've ever had, and maybe the best guest, whatever order.
Okay, so the worst guest. And feel free to show him this. Like,
we will. Absolutely.
Honestly, I mean, I don't think he's anywhere right now, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, Stephen Page from Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah, okay.
So remember after the band split up and he had that solo career that he was trying, that solo project, that first kind of bigger one. Anyway, so I had to do a phoner with him. And he could not have been less interested. And I actually put some prep into it. And I like to try to be respectful of their time. And I'm not going to be pandering. And I'm not going to, I think the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is to be provocative, because it makes the listener uncomfortable. Majority of people, some people love that style, but the majority of people don't find that comfortable to listen to. And it also, you don't get the best out of people when they're on the defensive. So it's not like he was going to have me asking him about his issues. But he was. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a couple of my favorites, if I could, I wrote a couple of them because I didn't want to forget. So very quickly, Mika Barnes from the Nylons, he came into the studio a couple of years ago. He was awesome. What a lovely human being. So fun. He makes me look like I'm sleepy. So much energy. Corey Hart. Remember he played here a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Was that last year? I don't even know anymore. I think it was 2019. Anyway, he came into the studio and I didn't know what to expect, right? Because I had seen him years ago, but I didn't interview him myself. He is the nicest freaking guy.
Really?
He's so, oh my God, he is so nice. It's stupid how nice he is. He's so nice. It's crazy. It's crazy. He just loves his kids and he's just so grateful. Like, if I was to describe him, nice and grateful, right?
I wouldn't have got that from him. I wouldn't have thought that at all. You wearing your sunglasses at night and all that jazz. That's all I think, right?
Yeah, right. Not power pout, brooding and whatever. None of that in person. Crazy. I interviewed Sheldon McLeod. You talked about Jerry D. It's funny. Jerry D he can be a little stiff, but it's funny. I told him a dirty joke but it's not dirty, but it is. And I told him that joke. And of course, I always record my interview first and then edit it down. And that's what I put on the air. And so he knew that that was the process. What's that?
We do the same thing.
Right. Anyway, so he's over there and I'm, you know, and anyway, and so I said, do people tell you lots of jokes? And he goes, yeah, people are sometimes come up to me and try to tell me jokes and whatever. And I said, and he it sounded like it was a negative experience for him. And I go, can I tell you a joke? And he goes, okay. And so I told him my joke, and I'll tell you. What is
it? You gotta say it now.
I'll save it for the end. Anyway,
okay.
So I told the joke, and he stopped. Instead of laughing, he stopped. And he goes, are you allowed to say that on the air? And I go, yeah. He said, okay, so set me up again, right? Anyway, it was so funny. He was worried for my job. I was like, dude, settle down. I interviewed Ron McLean, and I'm not. There's two things I'm not. I have no idea what musicians do. I think it's magic. And I don't ever want to peer behind that curtain. I don't want to learn an instrument. I love the fact that I don't know anything about any of the creative musicianship process. Like, I love it all because it's just magical. Sports, I don't find it magical, but I don't know anything about it. So I'm the last person that should be interviewing Ron McLean. And it was astonishing because he actually did his research on me. He knew where I was from, where I had worked. It was kind of freaky. I was like, who show preps me, right? But that's his discipline. That's why he's so prepared. He's such a gracious human being. And he gave me a shout out on Hometown Hockey, which I got to say, pretty freaking cool. But my favorite, probably the coolest, I don't know if it's the coolest, but certainly one of the more notable interviews was with Tommy Lee. It was a phone interview. Remember we had that crossover hit? I can't remember the name of it, but he had a crossover hit.
Yeah.
And so he's so professional. He's the most professional human ever. He's just so warm and whatever. He never for a second pulled a Stephen Page bored attitude with me. He was so gracious. And anyway, but I heard this thing about him. And so I asked him, I said, I understand that you have an affection for ladies' feet, right? Foot fetish. And he immediately changed. And he started almost giggling like a 12-year-old girl. Like he was like, oh, right? And I was like, what the hell is happening? This is great. And he said, you would think with who I was married to, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Pammy Anderson, that I would notice other things about a woman. But he said, when an attractive woman starts walking toward me, he said, I immediately look at her feet. He said, I got a real thing for toe cleavage. I told him my friend Angela thinks that she's got fabulous feet, and he loved that. So. Yeah.
Tommy, well, you know what? That's interesting because I'm a drummer, grew up idolizing Tommy Lee, and then I went through a period of time where I just couldn't listen to him anymore. And he seems to have turned a corner, and he, to your point, how long ago would that have been?
Oh, well, I mean, 10 years ago, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, because he seems to have found his stride the last probably 10 years where he seems to be better at selling stuff and better at protecting his image than, beating people up outside of nightclubs and stuff like that. So he seems to be doing a lot better.
I think maybe this is just at the start of that kind of cleaner period.
Right.
Yeah, because it was great. Like he was so professional. So professional. Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're finding, and we started out just with East Coast people, which was awesome because that's what we grew up on, but it's kind of branched out where we've talked to Darby Mills and we've talked to Lee Aaron and we've talked to some guys in Billy Joel's band, and we had Rob from who's in Honeymoon Suite.
Right.
They're all super, super nice people that are humble. That are real. And most of the problems we have are with people in our own backyard, which is unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way that it is.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
They won't come on?
Nope.
Why?
I ain't begging people. They were asked once, twice, whatever. Next. That's how she rolls, right?
It's just a funny thing, right? It's just a funny thing, and we don't take it personally. It's just it is what it is. We just kind of a big part of what we do is people say, get this person on, and we go chase them. If they come on, great, and if they don't, that's fine too.
We're excited that Nicolle Bellefontaine is on tonight. That's what we're excited about.
Right.
God love yous. You know what? I'm going to make a prediction, if I
Go ahead.
may. So these negative Nellies and the dismissers and the people that whatever, right, are hesitant or kind of blowing you off, just give them time. They'll be coming to you. They'll be coming to you because you guys have done a phenomenal job in such a short period of time. You're authentic. You walk the talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not wannabes. You are the real thing, and you're authentic and genuine and sincere. And
You're looking for a job, Nicole. We will hire
jerk.
you. Okay, we will hire you today. There's no benefit package, but we will hire you here today.
But you're not trying to be cool. Do you know what I mean? You just are. I have a belief that the people that are really cool are people that know who they are, and they're just kind of like, hey man, and you just have a conversation, because that's where people connect. And so that's why people are resonating with you, because you guys are being fair, and God love you. I watched one of your videos where you were talking about, with regard to the struggle that it is right now for musicians, and obviously financially, because there's no gigs and all of that stuff, and the bars and restaurants and stuff, and it's such a complicated problem. But you guys, I love how you kept going, we're not trying to put our whatever. And so I love the fact that you're really trying to be diplomatic rather than inflammatory, because that would work against you. It's okay to kind of bring the conversation up, because these are important conversations. I believe wholeheartedly that the arts, all of the arts, all of them need to be protected. Exactly. They need to be protected more than people understand. Now, I'm going to probably upset somebody, but I'm not really understanding why people have to go to a gym, because you can run and you can do exercise at home, right? But as far as acquiring, but then again, because that's not my realm. But in a pandemic, we got to pick and choose. And I got to say, I'm really tired of the creative arts taking it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our society does not value it at all.
Yep.
And why do you think TikTok is so goddamn popular?
Right.
You know why?
Right.
Because it's everyday people being creative, being engaging, and they're being silly and fun. Some of them are insightful. Some of them are goddamn talented. God love them. And it's escapism. And that's what what the creative arts do. It's escapism, and that's what we need. It's good for the brain as much as doing push-ups.
Well, and I got to say, Nicole, thank you for reading that off the cue cards that I sent you, exactly that I sent about all that. That was awesome.
Can she see our whiteboard? Can she see our whiteboard?
No, but to your point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that we're really trying to say out of all this is that there's some people right now that are, they're not coming up on the big wheel in terms of luck. They're kind of not getting to work, because this is what's mandated. And the thing that's frustrating for me personally, that I'm trying to get out there in a nice way, is there's no consultation by the people that are actually experiencing it. It's the associations. It's if Nicolle Bellefontaine's having a bad day, I don't go and talk to her boss. I go talk to Nicolle Bellefontaine. So why are these people talking to her boss? And that's, to me, what's more frustrating than anything else.
Well, I'm expanding on that. All levels of government right now have not had to worry about a lot of things that would have cost them lots of money. Are they spending money in other areas? Absolutely. Is this pandemic torching budgets around the world? Of course it is. But it's funny how, and this is me, I'm not representing anybody but myself here, but I find it really funny when there was no money for the arts before, but there's money for all this stuff now, and they're okay with spending that money. Mm-hmm. But again, the arts are still not getting what they require to keep it lush and fertile and wonderful. You have to nurture it, and you can't nurture creativity if that creativity is literally doesn't have enough food and is worrying about rent and is stressed the hell out. But that's just my opinion. I'm not representing anybody else. Ignore the logo in the back. This is truly my opinion. And our governments, like I say, what are they doing for Natal Day? What are they doing for these parades and all these things that are now not happening? So why can't we find creative ways by tapping into the people, like you say, who are the people that are responsible for bringing entertainment and the venues, and as well as the artists and the performers? Why can't you get involved with them and maybe showcase their talent in, say, for example, you guys could be doing a gig from a restaurant, and yes, you can't have people coming in, but you could be broadcasting on the government website, and they could be paying all those things, giving you a performing fee. And I mean, I'd rather that, honestly, than goddamn fireworks. Who gives a shit about fireworks? You know what I mean? Like, it just drives me crazy. And you're not going to have artistic development if you don't encourage it. And that comes from your government. It comes from the education system. It shouldn't be just an elective to be creative. What the hell is that?
Our concern is that there won't be any artists left. You know what I mean? Because they're going to have to find some other way to make a living. That's, and they'll be done. There'll be no, that's our, like, we got to try and fight for that. We have to protect that with everything we have. And I don't know why Sean and I were kind of chosen to do this shit, but it's something that we're very passionate about, and we're not going to give up. It's like, this petition that we started here just a couple of days ago is mainly to open the eyes to the government agencies. It's like, we're not going to lay down anymore. It's like, we're trying to roll over and piss on ourselves. It's like, there's people out there who need money. And it's not just, they don't need accolades. They don't need exposure. They need the freaking coin. You know what I mean?
They need the money. Absolutely. You have to invest in all people.
Yes.
All people.
Very good. And you nailed something. And the other frustrating thing for me is these people that are making these decisions haven't missed one paycheck. Mm-hmm. They still have their pension plans. So they're telling people such as, myself a little bit, but some of my other friends that I play in bands with, you're not going to get an income. We are. And that to me is just, then when it moves so slow and you try to just get their ear and they give you some go frig off email, it's just very frustrating. And I'm really glad, Nicole, that you brought it up, because I wasn't expecting to kind of hear you go in that direction, but it's very nice that you feel that way, especially from somebody that, that's in the industry and has some influence. It's fantastic.
You're passionate about the arts, like
I don't have any influence, but I have opinions. And I mean, maybe it's because I have I find music such a remarkable thing, and it's such a connective thing. It can be experienced in groups. It can be experienced over a goddamn Zoom meeting. So I don't know. How about the next time a corporation, say, has a Zoom meeting, they pay for a professional to perform, and they're not paying for flights across the country and stuff and all these other things. Like, that money should be reallocated. Do you know what I mean? We have to, as a society, we have to be creative on how we make these things happen. If everybody has to jump through a hoop, well, then be creative and make sure there's a goddamn hoop to jump through. Like, there's not even hoops for performers. It's terrible, and it shouldn't be happening.
I will say you do have influence, and I'll put it to you in this sense. I drive around, and sometimes a radio station might be playing a song that I might not like, so I'll bump to another station. But now you've influenced me to say, you know what, I'm going to keep it on Jack FM, and I'm not kissing butt or anything, but no, seriously, I mean, I so appreciate what you're saying here, because sometimes it feels like when we're trying to bang this drum, if you will, some people are behind us, but they don't kind of want to stick their neck out for fear of what's going to happen. So to hear somebody say it, and we're of like mind, I think it's just great. And I want to say how much I appreciate you saying that.
Well, you're welcome. And unfortunately, they are just words. So, I think it's very frustrating, because you just don't know with a variety of things that you see, you wish you could help. You just don't know how to help. Like, I don't know how to help.
Nicole, your words.
The Black Lives Matter movement has been really pivotal, because I think it's teaching people who are not a person of color that they can't just sit back. So when there's things that matter to you, you can't sit back. You may not know how to go forward, but you have to ask. So I ask you, how do we help you? Those of us who are not in the industry. I mean, I'm on the periphery, but you know what I mean? How do we help each other with your message? How do we help with problem solving? Because anybody can point a problem out. but we all have to work together to bring solutions. And I don't have any time for whining. I don't have any time for, well, there's nothing I can do. And, you know, it's too big for me. That's horseshit. And I challenge anybody that they, you know, God love Rick Howe and you know, Sheldon doing their shows, and people calling and they start whining and bitching. It drives me crazy. I've looked at Rick and I'm like, I don't know how you listen to that, because it drives me crazy, because the people that point out the problems never have a solution.
No, that's right. That's right.
They never have a solution.
No, and you're right. And that's part of the reason why I kind of got off talk radio, because it's just, you know, pick a topic and it's always a negative. You're walking around waiting for the piano to fall on your head like a Looney Tunes cartoon. And you're right. It's not uplifting. To me, it's not creative, and it's just whining.
Well, I mean, talk radio has a place because outside of those open hours, sometimes when people kind of go off, it's important that people have discussions and they talk about it, and you have different guests on, and they, you know, musical guests can come on and talk about the plight of artists and stuff like that. So that part of talk radio is good. But I just feel that in any situation where people say, I can't even vote because there's nobody I don't like any of the candidates, it's like horseshit. Like, people are always looking for an excuse to step back and to say that their little part's not going to do anything. And I disagree. It's as simple as, honestly, 2020 ties. If you wear a mask and you social distance, you're actually doing something. You're actually helping in a way.
We stayed the blazes home. We were helping. That's exactly right. You know, that you're bang on. But to your point earlier, though, here's my voice, here's Sean's voice, here's your voice. There's three voices that matter now, because collectively it's more than it was, which is one voice.
Right.
And that's all we're trying to do, is get more and more voices together. Initially, and it still is the same focus, we were just trying to add distraction to a really shitty time in 2020. And it would just be like Sean and I sitting with you in a bar, and we're talking around, shooting the shit, talking about the old days, what's going on now, what you're going to do next time. That was the whole point of Barstools and Bandtalk. It still is, but this right now is an issue, and we never wanted to get political and jump on our soapbox per se, but we're asking people to sign a petition, not because we're heroes, because we want to get people who know better than the ones who are currently making decisions involved. And it just takes some voices to get together. So thank you very much for that.
I'd like to make a point, and it's with regard to your page. So let's fast forward to a time when people are allowed to kind of reconvene in bars and restaurants, and they get to enjoy live entertainment. You get to go to Neptune and whatever, right? Your page is still relevant. And here's how I hope that you will remember this and sort of keep this in your head.
Get out the whiteboard out. Hang on now.
Are you ready? Get the whiteboard out.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
So one of my issues with the East Coast music community is that it's very secular. So this genre is over here. This genre is here. There's not a hub. There's not a place where there is a promotional point where somebody who, like, I gotta be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I went to see a live band, mainly because it seems like the only place we were going to find any information is in the coast, and everything about that magazine is often centered around this, you know, the city core. And I know that there are performances that are happening outside of the city, and that's something that I'm more likely to go to, because I can't do crowds anymore. You know what I mean? But I'm going to make an effort once things ease up to start going back to live shows, because you don't realize you missed something until you can't actually do it. You know what I mean? Exactly. But I think that it would be really great if your page was able to kind of develop also that ability to bring people like me, because the young people, they're going to the bars, they know what's going on. But people like me, I don't necessarily, my age group, we don't necessarily know what's happening. So if you can kind of keep everybody kind of abreast of what's going on, that's great. And by doing this content that you're doing, you're engaging. So, and you're posting, so you see it on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, there's another one. I mean, you guys are active on your page. And so I'm getting notified, and that's how you keep people engaged and keep them interested. And so when shows start happening, you can keep that momentum going, and that's a great thing.
I miss Stephen Cook. Remember the night book, whatever the thing in the Chronicle Herald was, Stephen Cook's, or Timothy Cook. Stephen Cook.
Stephen Cook.
Yeah.
Stephen.
I missed that, because that's the only way I knew what was going on, is just go to that page on the Thursday. You knew what was going to go on for the weekend.
But I got to tell you, I don't look at paper.
Yeah,
well, right.
That's true, right?
And we are in a social media era, right? So you got to go where the people are, and so that's where you guys are actually poised to do something really great for the industry that you love. Because you'll
Well,
be able to get at people. Because I'll tell you right now, if it was in a paper somewhere or some obscure website, I'm not going to go. I'm not. But if it pops up in my Facebook feed, well, hot damn it, I'm gonna see it. You have a better chance to get my attention.
Well, again, it's funny. It's almost like we rehearsed this, because when I was texting you, you're like, "Well, geez, I'm not musical," but your little 2-minute PSA totally encapsulated way back in April what we were trying to accomplish. It being exclusive, exclusive, highlighting pretty much anybody that knocked on the door, not worrying about if you're young, old, whatever. I mean, we just wanted a place for people to come promote themselves.
Yep.
You know, and you know, again, thank you so much for pointing that out, because I guess clearly that's what's happening, and it's you know, it's good to hear somebody actually say it, right? So,
well, I think sometimes, with all due respect to musicians and their fans, but they just get so locked in that format and they forget. And the one thing you can appreciate about the hip hop community is that they will do music with everybody, right?
Yes. Yep.
Hip hop artists will do music with literally freaking everybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what needs to happen, because our music, our population is small. We have a very prolific and very active, very talented, and a lot of variety to the local music scene. But again, it's hard to get that information out there. And if everybody's supporting each other, I'm a big fan of women supporting other women, right? I know, burn your bras, the whole shenanigans, but I work in an industry that's still very, male driven, much better than it was. But if you look at all of the broadcasters across the country, you're going to see gender differences, again, across the country. And I'm lucky because our top person is a woman, so I love that. But I'm always trying to help other women and support other women, and I think that needs to happen with the music community. Is that everybody, all genres have to support all genres. Like you can't, it's. And I don't know. With all due respect, rock fans have a tendency to kind of go, "I don't want to listen to rock." It's like, okay, well, I'm a music fan, so good luck with that.
Right on.
Right? You got to love all music. That's a music fan.
I think, Nicole, what happens in music, and I've been a musician my whole life, and there's unfortunately a distrust where you don't necessarily want to share information, or you don't want to partner because for fear that you're going to get screwed over. And so one of the things we found that at the beginning, and now, I mean, for the most part, now there's been a couple people that haven't played ball. Miles Goodwin, we want you, but anyway, but for the most part, people are starting to come alive. They realize we're trying to help them. We realize that we don't want anything from them. We want to help them out. And it is starting to happen. And this thing that's going on here, I think most musicians are going to have to keep this as something in their toolbox going forward. You're going to have to live stream. You're going to have to do things like this, because that's, it's a new way of doing things.
Yeah. And, you can workshop them, right? Show them how it's done. Some people are like, I've been on some of these calls, but I haven't actually used Zoom. You talk me through, how to make this happen, how you do it as a recording, and whatever. You think that it's such an automatic thing for people, but it isn't, right? So there's lots of ways that you can help them, but you're already doing astonishing stuff. So good on you.
Well, Nicole, we appreciate your words of support there, because quite honestly, we didn't really have a clear vision of what this was going to end up on, but we knew we were going to be at the forefront to help out our brothers and sisters in every genre in this whole thing. But you know what? Like, we're trying to eke out an existence with this whole platform too, and we kind of bump the wall this way, go this way again, is keep moving forward. That's all we're trying to do, is move forward. But we appreciate your words of support.
And and that's it. Being flexible will serve you well. And being yourself, like you are.
We're almost done out of time, so I want to hear your joke.
Well, just one second. Just 1 second. Just before you do, though, you pointed out something that I wanted to give you credit for, because we actually are going to be doing it. So I play in a band called The Frequency. We were playing a lot, but Dave and I put together, we had this vision to have a band that could do what you were talking about, to take it to a bar, play the bar, promote the bar. And so, those are things like, and hey, we're ideas guys, and we're not necessarily finishers, but things like that. It's good to hear people that are coming up with ideas, and it allows me to feel, hey, you know what, we're on to something that's cool. So I appreciate that. So now on to your joke, young lady.
All right. Well, and like I say, Jerry D stopped me and asked very low, "Are you allowed to say that on the air?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Okay, set me up again."
No censors here on Barstools and Bandtalk.
Right?
Awesome.
So, and it's really simple. And I got to do a shout out to creative director Jake Hallinan from Q104. Known him for a very long time. It's his joke, but it's my favorite joke.
Okay.
What's the difference between pink and purple?
I don't know. What's the difference between pink and purple?
The grip. And so Jerry D, when I set him back up again, I said, "What's the difference between pink and purple?" Or what's the difference between pink and purple? And he goes, "I don't know." And I said, "The grip." And he goes, "That's very blue." So he had to come back. But
It would also explain Dave's lack of success the last 9 or 10 months. So thank you for that as well, Nicole.
It's been a pleasure. And good
You know
luck.
what? I so appreciate you doing this. You were as advertised. A bunch of people said you were going to be a hoot, and the information that we got tonight that you shared, it was an added bonus. So thank you so much for accepting the offer. Yeah. And guess who I'm listening to tomorrow afternoon when I'm pounding around my truck on work sites?
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'll try to get through it relatively unscathed.
You always do.
Jack 92.9! Booyah! No. Anyway,
Thanks so much, Nicole.
I probably won't see you, so I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a
to
Happy
you too.
New Year. Everybody who happens to watch this, know that 2021 is going to be a better year. Yeah. I feel it. I know it. We got this.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Here's 2020. Here's Christmas now. Here's what our Christmas looks like this year now. There it is.
Lovely.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, that's all we got. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great night. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace out.
Peace.
Barstools